What if you could change your life? What if the sorrow could become joy and the darkness the light? What if you could heal not only yourself but those around you? Well, you can. This is Alchemy, and these are the Alchemy Sisters. Join psychic Jennie McDaniel and spiritual advisor Mandee Elam for a magical 1-hour journey into esoteric spiritual discussions.
Hello and welcome to the Alchemy Sisters. You are here with Mandee. Jennie had to take the night off unexpectedly, but that's okay. She's got good things going on, and we're sending her good energy. And I hope you are all doing well today. This is most likely our last show of this season, which has just been wonderful, and we've been doing it every week since February of 2019. And we're going to relaunch with a new season in the beginning of January 2020. So we are so honored for all of you who have listened and tuned in and been a part of Heart Over Ego Radio. Tonight we have an incredible guest, and I'm just so excited to bring her on. She's the founder of the Sensual Energy Alchemy, and her name is Devi Maisha. Did I say that right? Devi or Devi?
I think Devi, but yeah.
Devi.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, we're so honored to have you. And then I had seen Devi in other places, and then you mentioned that it means goddess. I'd love if you could tell us a little bit more about that word and just the goddess embodiment.
Yeah, so it's a Sanskrit word. I study Tantra, and one of the versions of Tantra that the popular version of Tantra is Hindu Tantra. There are several versions of Tantra. But Hindu Tantra is one of them, and Devi is the word in the Hindu religion that means goddess. So when I was originally, I took the name because I was looking to change my name on Facebook, and I still work full time, and I just wanted to make sure that my employer just couldn't find me anywhere. And so I wanted something to go along with my name, and my name Maisha is Swahili, and it means new life. And I wanted something that would mesh with that, and I chose Devi. And at first I was like, well, that's a little presumptuous, goddess of new life. But I was like, well, yeah, but that's what I do. And after speaking with my father, who told me that he gave me the name because he felt that I would usher in a new way of being or a new life. And I was like, that's so interesting, because here I am kind of guiding people towards something that they may not have experienced before. And so I thought, okay, Devi's perfect. So that's actually how I ended up with the name Devi Maisha. I was just looking to hide from my employer, but it worked.
You looked to hide from your employer and found your authentic self. How cool
Absolutely. Yes.
And it's so sad because we can't be who we truly are a lot of the times in this 3D construct and our society that we have. But as someone who is, an energy healer, and I'm someone who can see certain things, you are absolutely a goddess sister, and you deserve that title. And, there are so many gifts and truths in our name. I learned that when I was studying some of Rebecca Campbell's work. She wrote Rise, Sister, Rise, and Light is the New Black. And she's like, even if you hate your name, it's crazy how many actual meanings really come from it. And like my name's Amanda Heather Elam, and it means like much love flowering forever. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense for me, because I just want to like share love and be out there and like make it stick. So.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yep, and her name Rebecca meant like bridge builder, I think, and it was something where she was kind of like, oh, this is lame, I don't want to be like a bridge builder or something. And now she's like, oh, it makes complete sense, because I was meant to be a bridge into spirituality for all of these women.
Wow.
Anyone who's listening, Google your name out there.
Absolutely. They all have meanings.
Oh, well, I would love it if you could tell us a little bit about your business and how people can get a hold of you.
Sure. So my business is Sensual Energy Alchemy, and I was trying to think of why I named it that, and it really actually just came to me. I have no other explanation, and that's just what it was. But everyone can find me on I'm on Instagram a lot, and also on Facebook and Twitter, and my website, and it's all the same, Sensual Energy Alchemy. I just make it very easy for people to find me.
Beautiful. And what is it you do? You work with individuals and couples, right?
I do. I work with individual men. I work with individual women. I work with couples together. I also do workshops and classes. Like I did a sex magic and spiritual workshop out in Long Island a couple of weeks ago, and I'm planning another one in December with a friend of mine. And what I teach a lot is about the merging of sex and spirit. So it's a little bit of tantra, it's a little bit of chakra reiki, it's a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy and psychology and all kinds of manifestation stuff, kind of all grouped into one with this just juicy orgasmic layer over the whole entire thing.
Oh, I love that. We had last season we had a sex educator on, and she kind of like, it's one of those moments, you know, in your consciousness where something happens and you feel like that womp womp, your head gets bigger and you're like, oh, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So she came on and she talked to us about how, you know, how our life force is very orgasmic. And when we're in the non-physical, we're in ecstasy. And like ecstasy is literally the portal between the physical and the non-physical. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. That's why we always want to get to these higher vibrations so we feel more at home like we do in the non-physical, and we feel more ourselves. And ecstasy has always been such a taboo in our culture. And we have wonderful pioneers like you coming and doing the work and sharing it. And I have so much hope for humanity and people, and I'm excited to see how it all grows. So thank you for showing up and doing your work.
You're so welcome, and that actually reminds me of how the name came to me, because sometimes people do ask me, and it is just that. People think that sensuality means sex, and sensuality is actually the use of all 5 of our senses, and that's part of the gift that we have, whether you have only 4 of them, 3 of them, or all 5 of them, because when you lose one sense, the others become stronger, so you're still always complete. But the idea that we've come into these bodies, we've really come in to literally experience this realm through the senses that we have. And we've come into these bodies as energy beings. And we've come into these bodies looking to alchemize, to change the energy that we have as we go through life. And one of the ways that we can do that is using the 5 senses that we have. And that's one of the reasons why I ended up choosing Sensual Energy Alchemy, because I believe that if we change the way we move through this world and we take the things that happen to us and we shift it into something else, then we can live a life of sensuality and pleasure and get back to that ecstatic feeling that we had when we were in the spirit realm.
I love that. That makes my heart sing.
Yeah.
What are some things that I'm going to ask you all kinds of questions, but that makes me think at first of like, let's just start at the basics. Like, how does an individual or a couple, mostly a sovereign individual being, how do they start to explore their sensuality and start paying attention to their senses that they may have dimmed throughout their life?
So one of the best ways to do it is meditation. And I just, I cannot find any other way for people to really have that experience. And what I tell people who are like, oh, meditation, I always I tell them it's not about sitting for 30 minutes cross-legged with your hands in the mudra and, saying Om with your eyes closed. That is a way to meditate. Just today, I did a walking meditation, and I took time to just feel into the awareness of my body, and I could literally feel my spirit self in my body as I walked through and touched plants and smelled things and just took time to be aware of what's around me. And so what I tell clients and other people is meditation is really just about being aware. The first step in understanding how to get to the next place is first you have to be aware of what you're seeing, you're smelling, you're feeling, you're tasting, you're touching. Bring yourself into this physical space and take a moment to be aware of your breath. Are you breathing? Are you not breathing? That's meditation. You just start there, and then from that you can build a practice, and maybe you can do it for 30 minutes down the road, but that's really the first start is to just become aware, and meditation is the gate to that awareness.
I think that's beautiful. And, we talk about meditation on this show, and it's a nice tool, but it's not something like you said where you have to put all these constructs around it and sit in a certain position.
Yeah.
It's about being present, not allowing your thoughts to take over, and allowing just the experience to take over. And getting intimate with yourself. And that's something, on this show we have tons of empaths and healers who listen in. And the breath work, man, that must be a gateway into sensuality, because so many people are constantly stressed and hold their breath and don't take deep breaths or even know what that really feels like. And so I feel like that's probably an amazing tool to start with, is like connecting with your breath. And I have not studied a ton of Tantra yet. I'm kind of aware of it. I know little things, but isn't breathing kind of a big part of that, and like harnessing your energy?
Absolutely. There are different ways that you can breathe, and I take Bikram yoga sometimes. I haven't been in a minute, but I notice even in Bikram yoga, there's a way to breathe, and when I'm breathing that way, that fire breath. It's not just in Bikram yoga. It's in yoga. I've experienced it in Hatha yoga as well. There's this fire breath that you have, and doing it a certain way can sometimes start to make your body feel a little tingly, and like my clitoris will start doing a little thing like ooh. So even in Tantra, there are ways to breathe and ways to use the breath to energize the body in certain places. That oxygen is our fuel. It's part of our life force. And so, yes, there are different breathing techniques that you can use to bring more awareness to your body, to raise your energy levels, to bring your energy levels down, to increase your pleasure, to decrease your pleasure. It's really all in the breath. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Now, we were chatting a little bit about potential topics to talk about tonight, and one of them that's on your mind is pussy power and what that means. And I have some opinions on it, and it's something that I've been seeing that we definitely need to call some attention to. So I'd love it if you'd talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I will start with really my awareness and being okay. So I grew up like a lot of people, not liking the word pussy. It was a huge derogatory thing. Mind you, I grew up with the word tutu for my vagina. And I was always a little confused because that was the thing that we wore in ballet. So I didn't understand how that correlated. But so I went through Regina Thomashower. She has this thing that she like a course that she did. It was the School for Womanly Arts. And
is that Mama Gina?
Yes, Mama Gina.
Godsend.
Yes. So in 2016, I went through School of Womanly Arts with Mama Gina, and pussy power everywhere. And I got her book Pussy as well. And reading through it, I was just like, and with the Tantra training, it was just like, well, damn, like there's so much power here, and I have not been utilizing it properly at all. and so now that kind of became my mission, to help women understand how powerful they are, and that's not just this area of your body to be forgotten or only to be seen when you wax it or when you're using a toy, but it's actually a tool for you to manifest and create your life and clear your stuff and anything else that you wanted to do. And so what happened today was I saw a meme in a group that I'm in, and I love the group, and the meme just reminded me of a lot of other memes that I see where it's like this thing with, it's like women, when you sleep with someone, you're sleeping with all the women that the men have slept with, and you're carrying all their energies with you, and it's very fear-based. Mind you, I've yet to see a meme with a man on the other side, by the way, stating that men should sleep with less women. And I get it because we receive, but I'm also a firm believer in the fact that if we are powerful, we are powerful. And if I'm stating that I've got this pussy and it's, hold my hand there and it's filled with power, that means that I have the ability to cleanse myself of any energy that comes near me if I'm aware, if I'm sovereign,
Mm.
I can cleanse myself of any energy. And so I need not fear having sex with someone, obviously thinking, because I can sense the energy from a mile away that that's not the one that I should be sleeping with, and this one is.
Right.
You
And
know what
that's
I mean?
I love that you're talking about this because it's hard, and I'm 33. I don't know how old you are, but
I'm
my
46.
oh, awesome. So not we got like maybe 10 years in between us here, a little
Yeah.
bit more. But like it's been something that as the women of your generation, my generation, started dating and all this, we didn't want to get married right away. We wanted to date. We wanted to be more empowered and sleep with people, and everybody slept with everybody in college, and then after that, once you're like single and out and about, there was all this whole hookup scene. And now I do see people talking about, well, be careful and mindful of who you share your energy with. And I even saw a meme that said something like, if you let a man ejaculate into you, his sperm lives within your body or in your brain for like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's not scary and dogmatic. Like, like, I don't know about all this. This doesn't feel totally right to me. But I do like the idea of how you were talking about discerning what energy feels like appropriate or compatible for you. Whereas I think a lot of women are still working on all that self-love and self-worth and maybe looking for love in the wrong places and end up being depleted after sleeping with someone. Have you seen that or noticed that?
Yes, yes, and I've experienced some of that as well as I went through my life. I married very young. To me, I was 23. I was very young, and it wasn't until after my divorce that I was out, hoeing in the world a little bit, because I just wanted to have all of these experiences and deal with these different men. But I have seen that if you're not aware, if you are looking for love in all the wrong places, if you're using sex to get love, and a lot of women are doing that, even if they're not consciously aware that they're doing it, then yes, you do have the opportunity then to have that energy stagnate in you. Whereas, in my opinion, I can have sex with a man, and because I am who I am and I am aware, I can transmute that shit. I am Mother Earth. You give it to me, I'm going to. You give me sperm, I make babies. You give me sperm, I will turn it into something else. That's not going to sit in my body and get all like rotten and disgusting. But if I have sex with you and I'm feeling bad about it, or I have ulterior motives for it, and I'm not being honest with what I'm doing, then yes, I can see how I allow that to enter me, and now between his energy and mine, it has turned into some other thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you tell your clients or women at your workshops that are like, all right, and I love that you use the word hoeing around because our network is called Ho Radio. And, it stands for a lot of things. One is like creating heaven on earth, and there's new hoes in town because we're all like women and teachers and, divine sexual beings. And so we love like reclaiming that as well as the word pussy. And we're like, well, it'll be an attention getter, and it's the name of our heart over ego and creating heaven on earth. So it's pretty cool, and I don't always think hoeing around's a bad thing. Sometimes, I'm like, I don't know, I see women get out of divorces or long relationships and then go have a little fling, and sometimes, hopefully, a lot of times they're conscious and aware, like, oh, I don't think this will be my partner forever, but man, it's unearthing some things in me, and it's fun to go and experience and have some sex, and it's very dogmatic to think like, oh, if you sleep with this person and you receive their energy, then you're stuck with them, for forever, and that's now part of you, and that's your punishment almost. Like you have to carry their energy and essence with you all the time. And then I was giggling to myself because I was thinking there was that one like meme or video on Facebook going around with the one woman saging her friend, and she's like saging her vagina area, and she's like, come on out, like Nate and Steve and Catherine and like all these people. And she's like saging her. I was lucky. My mom always said vagina, so saging her vagina. I like vajayjay because of Oprah, but it's so funny how we get scared and we think, oh my God, what are all these mistakes I made? Is that energy in me? How do I cleanse this out of me?
Yeah, and I think that ends up causing stress, right? There are a lot of women who are, And look, I've got like 5 or 6 yoni eggs. I've got a crystal wand. I have sage. I mean, I'm all for whatever method you think works for you. Yoni steam, yoni pearls, whatever have you. But don't make it dogmatic, which is what some women do. It's still this fear-based thing of, oh my God, the reason why my life isn't the way it is because I've slept with all these men and now I've got to go get my yoni steamed. And then once I've released that energy, all will be well. It's still that same religious undertone that we've all had. If I just go get bathed in the blood of Jesus, then all will be well. And I want to encourage women to use the tools, but don't let the tools use you. Just go steam for sure. I mean, I think that's a wonderful experience. Or use the yoni eggs, absolutely. But also understand that you are divinity in flesh, and you have this immense amount of power within you to shift things, even if you have no tools.
Yes. Oh, I love that. And we have a fantastic guest on Tessa today. She's amazing, and she does yoni steams and stuff, and like those help you to like re-regulate your cycle or clear out things if you're going through menopause or after an emotional breakup. It does so many things. And I had this fantastic client who's she's in her probably mid-60s, I think, mid to late 60s, and she had this sudden like rise to start, really embodying her sexuality again. And she, obviously is older than I am and was raised in a harsher culture, and so she thought she was all closed up and that she would never be able to have sex again or self-pleasure, outside of clitoral stimulation. And I encouraged her. I was like, why don't you go online and research some yoni eggs? Very important for our listeners. There's lots of eggs out there. Make sure you get a yoni egg and make sure it's something that's hard enough that's not going to break or be soft. Like, you don't want a selenite egg up in you. But, there's certain things like I think jade and rose quartz and like certain things that are much better for you. So if you're listening, do your proper research. But she started with a small one and then a medium and then a large and like worked with it little by little. And she just couldn't believe how much she reopened and reblossomed. And she thought like her whole life was over. And now she's just kicking ass and taking names. That like empowered her like crazy. Ooh. So it's just fascinating what can happen when we release the dogma and we release our fears a little bit and we invite in the curiosity. Jennie, our lovely alchemy sister, always says, fear, turning fear into curiosity is what alchemy often is. And it's like the gateway and the bridge. And so if you can release some of the fears and know that you're an incredibly powerful human and goddess and being, and there's so much more out there, especially, when people get bored and whatnot, you're like, oh, well, go study this for a while. You won't be bored. I just love it. And I'm just grateful for this work you're doing in this world.
Thank you so much. It is a lot of fun for me. I mean, I think for all of us who are in this realm of doing this work, it's always born out of pain. For so many of us, experiences that we've had, and those of us who have felt called, have said, I've gone through these things. I don't want anyone else to go through them. How can I assist them in working through it? Maybe I have a process that's worked for me that I can share with other people. But there's something that continues to be healing about that as well. So even in doing the work, I think we all still kind of go through higher levels of working through our own shit.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It never ends. And we tell all of our students and clients that we're like, oh yeah, this life school thing, like it never ends. And you think you're going to awaken and get to this point, but really it just turns into more of kind of a game, and you're constantly up leveling and growing. You think you've made it. Just kidding. But it would be boring otherwise. If we just came in, knowing everything, and we didn't come here to Earth School to learn and work, it wouldn't make sense. And I think this like new age sexual revolution and freedom and tantra becoming more popular, I think is really what's going to be a catalyst to pushing humanity into a new and hopefully better direction.
No, I absolutely agree with that. There's a consciousness that has to come into play. I mean, sex is literally like the closest you can get to whatever the thing was, whatever you want to call it, that created the planet. The act of sex is the closest you can get to that. I mean, I don't think people understand that by inserting a penis into a vaginal canal, you can create a whole new human. It's a profound thing that, you know, people focus on just the act itself, but you can literally create a replica of an entire being, complete with heart, lungs, and liver and kidneys and things of that nature. So it is a very powerful activity, and when we do it with consciousness, and when we experience it with consciousness, and I don't mean we don't have to take all the fun about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being fucked as well. Like you have to have the spectrum. You
right.
know? But even fucking can be done with consciousness, you know. But when we take that and we take it not just for random enjoyment, which is great, but also see it as one of the tools we can use to co-create, to recreate. Yes, I mean, imagine if everyone was just, if it was like the 60s at a commune and everyone really was just making love all the time. Who's got time to do any of the other bullshit? You know, you're just riding high off the orgasmic ecstasy. You know, you're building community. And that's what I hope that we aspire to more.
I do too. I think it'll help love lead the way, that's for sure. And it just makes people feel better, you know? And there's a lot of taboo. I work with a lot of clients who have a lot of trauma from when they were children. And they often will come to me and say, well, I had these experiences with a friend or a cousin or something, and I don't know if I was like molested or if I was the molester, because I was kind of curious. And of course, there's lots of sexual trauma out there, and there's lots of, you know, adults taking advantage of children or like older kids and things that are unhealthy. But then there's this underbelly of like healthy sexual exploration. And I feel like often like children or young girls between like maybe ages like 8, 9 to like 11, 12, 13, maybe sometimes experience their first like Kundalini awakening and like Shakti energy, and they get all these feelings and don't know what to do with it. Do you have any experience or anything like that sparks your mind that you want to talk to about that? Because it's something I've been hearing coming up more and more and more in like healthy sexual exploration as a child that you shouldn't feel guilty for.
Yeah, so you know, I literally remember humping my stuffed animals when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Like I remember just like I have this curious George. It's I mean, when I was a child, it was probably about half my size, maybe. And so I remember laying in bed, just like putting the leg of it between my legs and just rubbing up against it. You know, just feeling this really tingly feeling. I didn't know what the clitoris was, but I just remember feeling that feeling and just and enjoying it. I remember playing, and I read this article. It's like 10 signs that you were a former like sex priestess or temple priestess in another life, whatever. I was like, oh, this must be all me. But right. I was one of the girls that played like house with the boys, and I was always someone's wife. You know, and there was always like this touching and this feeling going on. And for me, it was all very normal. I never walked away from it feeling yucky. There was one time the one time I remember as a child feeling that yuck experience was when I was 6 years old, and my sister's 3 years younger than me, and she had babysitters, and I don't think they liked me very much, well, they didn't like me very much. But I remember my mother had sent us there. She and my father had gone somewhere, and they had a 13-year-old son. And I remember him playing Dracula with me. And I distinctly remember, like, so I was the victim. I guess he was supposed to be biting my neck. And so I remember laying on the bed, and I remember he was just, no clothes were off. He was on top of me. And, like, you know, he's just, like, humping up, like, simulating moving his body. But now I remember kind of just staring out to the side, like, what is he doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and he's like biting my neck, and I was just like, huh, Like, I don't really know what's going on here. Like, I didn't walk away from the experience feeling violated. I was just like, I don't get it. Like, what's supposed to be going on here? And it's one of those things where even now I don't, and I have been sexually assaulted. So I have had that experience, and I've had people actually try to force me to have sex in the 6th grade. I had 2 classmates, who literally, on separate occasions, literally tried to force me to have sex, and I had to run from them. So I've had those experiences, but even still, there's always been this weird wonderment to me about sex and just what it does to people, and how it makes the brain react. So I don't know. I've always had a weird way of looking at it, I guess.
Well, I think for me, we only all have our own perceptions and perspectives. But for me, that just sounds like, you were very sexually empowered and like you enjoyed exploring as a kid. But then, you also knew your boundaries and you knew when something wasn't appropriate. And that's what I was talking about a little bit with the, people get stunted in the traumatic things that happened. And when I was in 6th grade, same thing. I had a group of boys surround me we were all bike riding, and we were on this like path behind the neighborhood, and they, pushed me off my bike and tried to rip my clothes off, and like, I don't know, I got away. I started like riding my bike like crazy and had angels with me and got away from it. But, I could have allowed that to traumatize me, and it did a little bit, but it was just something that I kind of like put aside at that time because I didn't exactly understand everything at that time. And then I don't think it really inhibited me from exploring more in the future. But it's just something that I see a lot as people are trying to explore their sexuality and come into their full power. Certain traumas or experiences come up with a lot of confusion from when people were younger because it wasn't allowed to be talked about, whether it was good or bad or not, or, green or white or whatever it wasn't something that was really allowed to be discussed. Or like I have a client who got caught, touching herself like at school or something. She was in like 2nd or 3rd grade, and she just was like, feeling really nice and like touching herself, and she got in trouble at school, and it like shut down all of her like sexual exploration for a really long time.
That to me is so like, I mean, it just makes me, and I do have clients, and I have had women who have had those experiences, and it really is a slow unraveling because there's a layer of shame that takes over the body, and often it will cause the body to tense up, and it'll cause the vagina to constrict, and not allow itself to be fully open to the pleasure. And for women like that who've had those experiences, and even some of the men that I've encountered too, it's really a slow reawakening and just getting reacquainted with your body. And often for that, I don't want them to even begin to touch their genitals because they can't get to that point. I need you falling in love with like your arms, your thighs. I need you falling in love with your stomach, and your breasts, and we work our way there, depending on the level of the trauma that's taken place. Because sometimes diving right into it too much release too fast can sometimes be a detriment. So sometimes it's just a slow descent into pleasure. Sometimes it's not even about touching your body. It's really just about taking time eating a piece of chocolate cake, or wearing something that feels really good on you, or taking a bath in a scent that just arouses you. It's doing everything else besides dealing with your genitals and taking the pleasure in that and working your way in.
I think that's fantastic. And I think that's excellent advice for our listeners, even if this is a triggering conversation or you have, sexual trauma or experiences, but it's something you're wanting to grow out of. I think that that's an amazing place to start. Or if it's something where you feel like you've used sex way too much and you're like, oh, I'm almost kind of numb to it. You were talking a little bit before about, people being overstimulated. And maybe it's a nice way to drop back into your body and start exploring your different senses again. I also, oh, are you there? Can you hear me?
I am.
I think it broke up a tiny bit. I
Yeah.
also wanted to ask you a little bit. You put a discussion on Facebook today about juice. Let's talk about that.
Yes, I said pussy juice is, and I've read through some of the comments, and I'm thrilled when I read comments like that. Pussy juice to me is the nectar of the gods. It is the juice of magic. It is that from which all life comes, and literally. Um, and so I think pussy juice is magical. In certain traditions, it's said that the amrita, the ejaculate of a woman, can cure men of diseases. There were a lot of jokes that came out when Michael Douglas had throat cancer, unfortunately, that were saying that like that he needed to take in more of that because it would help to cure the cancer. But in the ancient Asian traditions, that was actually the case. That was something that they did. They allowed the men to take in their pussy juice in order to give the men strength and vitality. And even in some of the Christian, I don't call it mythology, if you will, with Mary Magdalene, it was said that it was her sex magic that gave Jesus or Yeshua the ability to strengthen his chi so that he could reappear after his death. So pussy juice is magical.
Magical. We like that. We're a big fan of Jesus and Mary Magdalene being light workers who were trying to teach sacred sex and alchemy, and we kind of effed that up a little bit. A lot of it. So we're on that train with you, sister. So now this is something new to me that you said. The female ejaculation, you said that's called Eureka?
Amrita. Amrita. Yes, it's Amrita in the tantric tradition. Yes, so people are really big on this squirting thing lately, thanks to porn. And I think if a woman squirts, that's beautiful. I think if she doesn't, that's beautiful. It's another thing that women are now trying to force their bodies to do in order to seem like they're, like some type of advanced sex goddess. Very unnecessary. But just, yes, the ejaculate itself, or even just the regular juices themselves, even if you're not squirting out, all of that goodness, just your regular wetness itself has such healing properties to men, can shift them, can shift you as a woman. Yes, dabbing it on your wrists, behind your ears, is an aphrodisiac. The pheromones will shift the energies around you. There's so much in that. There's so much in it.
We've joked around about that on this show before because when I had a reading, and this is like before I really stepped into my power, and I did readings and all this. And this is probably like 15 years ago. I think I was like 18 or 19, and I went to Salem, Massachusetts. And I had a male reader tell me I should dip my pussy juice behind my, and put it on my ears and my neck as like a cologne to attract men. And it like scarred me. I was like, oh my God, what is this guy telling me? Like, I don't even know, because I was so closed off at that time. I was like, kind of curious and interested, but it also scared me because I had unhealed traumas at that time, and it was coming from a man, and it was, and he was just trying to be nice and give me tips to like attract a mate or whatever. And it was really funny. So it made me think of that. And then I'm very open and honest, but I'm someone who is a squirter. And it came in very naturally for me young. And like every time like I felt a really good orgasm, it would happen. And I dated this guy for a little while who was an anatomy and physiology professor, right?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, all right, this is great. He's going to know the body. He's going to appreciate me. This is wonderful. And when it came time for squirting action, he was like, yeah, that turns me on. It's cool. But I just keep reading all this research that it's really just urine. And I'm like, I don't feel or think that. I don't know for sure, but I don't feel or think that in my body. And I think it's cool we're having this discussion about it.
Yeah, and there's the ongoing debate, oh no, it's just I think women know when they're peeing.
Right?
Like, you know what I mean? I can imagine. I can imagine that it's a different feeling squirting versus urinating. Like, we would know the difference, right? And so, is there some urine in there? Probably it gets mixed in there, but is it urine? It is not. It is. It's just. It's not. It doesn't come from the bladder.
Yeah.
So let's dispel that myth there. That's interesting.
So all ladies listening, if you're a squirter, it's okay. It's very natural, and it's not urine most likely.
I watched a woman squirt once at a swingers event that I went to. I am the interesting intersection of swinging, BDSM, polyamory, and tantra. And as I went to the swingers event, and I'm watching the men just kind of worship this woman, and all of a sudden she just, like, this waterfall just shoots out of her, and I'm just like, wow. I was like, yeah, that's not pee. Like, that's not urine. Urine doesn't even come out the body like that, It's just like urine just trickles out. It doesn't shoot out, So I was like, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, women are fascinating. I love our bodies.
Fascinating. And I love the light you brought about the healing qualities of that. I'm going to do a lot. I love doing ancient research and whatnot. And you said that was in some of the Asian cultures?
Asian and tantric cultures. So yeah, there's a great book that it's I want to say Jade Secrets of the White Tigress or something like that. But if you type in that title, it's a green book, or is it the men's book is green, the woman's book is orange, because they have like similar teachings. And so in the woman's book that's orange, there are these ancient teachings from China of how the women would work with the men, and how they would learn how to enhance their sex skills, and the things that they would do to help heal the men. It was amazing to read. One of my favorite books.
That is fascinating. Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, Secrets of the White Tigress. That's what it is.
Beautiful. Well, I do have a few more questions for you, but is there anything on your heart or mind that you're wanting to talk about at this point?
Nothing that comes to right now, but I'm sure I'll spin off depending on the question you ask.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, what is sacred sexuality to you?
Ooh. Sacred sexuality to me is to just understand the power of our sex, of our libido, of our arousal, and to really just hold that in high esteem and reverence. To know that however we're using it, however we're expressing it is fine, as long as we're doing it with some awareness. That's the sacred part to me, whether you're having sex with one person every day, or whether you're in a long-term committed relationship with one individual. It's bringing awareness to the understanding of how powerful the activity can truly be.
That's a great definition. I love that. And what are some things that you encourage people to be, my favorite quote is Dr. Maya Angelou, do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. Mm-hmm. What are some things that our listeners could do to start being more conscious or bringing in more of an awareness to their sacred sexuality?
Yeah. Again, aside from meditation, because it's always the go-to, if the word meditation feels too heavy, just breathing. And when I say breathing, just being aware of the breath. That always brings us back to center. It's amazing. It doesn't matter what you're feeling or what's going on. If you pause and just take a deep breath in and exhale 3 to 5 times, it's amazing where it will bring you. So for a woman who's, with a man and she's, wondering if she should engage in this activity, and it's like she's really, feeling him, but there's a thing that feels off, just breathe. I take 3 to 5 deep breaths and ask the question, do I want to sleep with this man? And don't think. Just allow the answer to pop into your head. And whatever it is, it's usually what it is. So if it's a yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. Because you're getting the answer from your body, and your body knows.
Yep. And even if it doesn't logically make sense, if
It
you're
does,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm hitting it off with this guy and he's super hot and this is great, or, or woman, whoever, but then they end up being a psycho killer. Like your body's going to tell you that ahead of
Yes,
time. And that little no is going to come in and say, oh, you look really great, but no, for some
yes,
reason.
yes.
And it's so important to trust our intuitions. And man, they're so strong and they're always right, aren't they?
They are. I mean, I use that myself. I've had some great encounters with some great guys because it was just like, this is a yes for me. And there have been other men where it's like, tag, this, how come this is not a yes? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's not. So we're just not going to do it.
Yep. Oh, beautiful. So what is sex magic? You teach all about that, right?
Yes, yes. Sex magic is the ability to change and manipulate your energy and your environment using your orgasmic pleasure, using your orgasmic energy. And so it's like it's sympathetic magic. I spent some time studying with a coven, and I love witchcraft and all things witchy, and
Me
so
too.
and Native American um, rituals as well, and West African.
Mm-hmm.
And so this idea, this it's sympathetic magic is the same thing that tribes would use, before they went off to hunt. Someone would dress up like the animal, and other people would pretend to kill the animal, and they would get into the energy of what this was going to be in order to breed success for the hunt. And some communities, they actually would have the women like show their pussies as well to add extra energy or juice to that. So sex magic is sympathetic magic in the same way that the act of sex can create a whole new life. You take that same concept and you use it to create fill in the blank, a new job, a new home, a new love, greater wealth. It's the same thing, and there's some science behind it. I actually posted it on my YouTube channel, and I think it's the video that I have available for free. But there's science behind it that states when you're in the midst of orgasm, basically the frontal lobe of your brain, which is our thinking portion, it shuts down. The logic part of you is no longer available. And the same parts of the brain that's responsible for this kind of pain versus feel good piece pops up more, which explains why BDSM is such a pleasurable experience for some. And so during this time when logic is shut down, it's the perfect time to embed new ideas and new thoughts into the subconscious mind because the ego is overridden. The logic has been displaced. And so what I tell people is during the time of climax, that's when you are feeling into and stating your intention, and you just keep doing it over and over and over again, all through the wave of the climax and even afterwards, and just continue that trend for however many days, weeks, and let that new idea get embedded in the subconscious, because once it's in the subconscious, then you will consciously begin to act it out in your real life, and then you will create the thing or bring to you the thing that you're looking for.
I love that. That is fantastic definition. Now, I'm someone who hasn't had a sacred sexual partner yet. I've definitely had sexual partners, but they haven't, been on the same page as me, spiritually and emotionally, something I'm inviting in the future. However, I've heard a lot, and you may be able to speak to this, that when you get into these really nice, agreements or relationships with a sexual partner, that not only can you ride that energy for a really long time and use it to manifest things, but when that frontal lobe starts to go out and the logic starts to go out, you can almost have visions or see things and colors and like explore different things in the universe. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, I have heard lots about it. I have a current lover who has done some work that I did not know he was doing, and started to bring some things, and I was like, oh well, shit. Like now that you're getting on board with this stuff, next time we need to start doing some manifestation, and like we're not gonna let these new good skills go to waste. Right. But I've been talking to him about this for the longest time, and so he's been doing his own work on the side. So hopefully we'll be able to have some things happen faster. For the people who I know who are in partnership like that with someone who is on the same page, absolutely. They not only is the sex amazing and just bliss filled, but yes, the way they've described it, I mean, it's almost like this fireworks, according to one, or like entering this realm of rainbow state. It's this merge, this melding together in a way where there's no one or the other. There's just the one together, and I think that is beautiful.
That is. It's really cool, and I keep hearing more about that. So more excitement to come for our listeners. And if you're someone who's really experienced sacred sex and the almost psychedelic things that can happen from it, write in, let us know. Comment on the Alchemy Sisters page, because we'd love to hear about that, because it's really a cool thing. I did want to ask you, you were referencing, was it BDSM community?
Yes.
What does that stand for?
BDSM is bondage, dominance, submission, masochism, or slave, master, sadist, masochist. The S and the M can mean a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. But that's basically what it is. It's the kink community, if you will. It's the flogging. It's the 50 Shades of Grey that everyone thought it was, but it's not real BDSM. But it's that. It's that stuff. It's rope play. It's fire play. It's collars. It's people who like to dress up as littles, like little boys, little girls, and they've got mommies or daddies. It incorporates a lot.
Okay. Now, this is something that, is considered taboo, but a lot of people really have feelings towards or interest in. What do you recommend if someone has never been involved in that community but wants to get involved? Like, is there a way to find safe groups to do that with, or partners, or, something to give them a little heads up by getting into this community?
Absolutely. There's a website called FetLife. Fet is short for fetish. That's fetlife.com. It's like the Facebook for people in the fetish community. You can find all kinds of things there, from swingers to people who are interested in BDSM and a variety of other kinks that exist in the world. But that's the website that the site that I recommend for most people. And there's a really cool test that people can take. It's called bdsmtest.org. It's little BDSM and TEST. Test.org that you can take to kind of figure out what your kink is. If you're not sure and you're like, I don't have a kink, go take that test. Go take that test, and you will be surprised at the results, guaranteed.
That is awesome. That's great, because there's a lot of people who did, read 50 Shades of Grey, and then that's it. They left off there, and they're like, oh, well, this type of thing might turn me on, or I might want to explore that, but I never could, because I'll probably end up with a psycho killer, and we all have these conversations in our head, and I can just see and feel that from a lot of different people. So I think that's a beautiful resource to give out.
Thank you. Yeah, I have one man who's we've never had sex, wouldn't even think to have sex, but when he has events, he is just beating my ass. It's flogging, it's spanking it, paddling it. That's just what we do.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Everybody has their own thing. There's different things that stimulate different people. And I think it's important at this, coming up on 2020 here, it's important to just start embracing the things that do make you happy and that do, turn you on or get things moving, and make sure you're doing it from a conscious space, and you're respecting yourself and other partners.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, well, this has been just such a fantastic conversation with you. Devi Maisha, the goddess, here in the flesh, talking to us. It's been fantastic.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed this. I so appreciate you having me on.
We are so grateful. Will you let our listeners know one more time how they can get a hold of you?
Sure, absolutely. It's Sensual Energy Alchemy, and that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, which I forgot before. My website, it's all the same. It's Sensual Energy Alchemy across the board.
Beautiful. And then will you tell our listeners one more time what some of the things you offer are?
Sure, I offer workshops and classes surrounding sex magic largely, showing women how they can use their orgasmic power to manifest. I also do private coaching for men and women and couples. Doesn't matter the distance. I use Zoom platform for my coaching, but I do private coaching and I do one-on-one coaching as well, and I travel.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Is there anything that you want to say to our listeners before we wrap up tonight about anything that's on your heart or mind with your sensual energy alchemy?
Enjoy it. Whatever it is that you're doing, enjoy it and be in the joy of it. And if you're not feeling it, just don't do it.
Oh, I love that. Yep. Just listen to that intuition. Be present, do it, feel it. And if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. I love that. Well, thank you so much again for coming on. And we hope you have such a beautiful night. And hopefully we'll get to have you back again for season 3 when Jennie's here with us, too.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in to Heart Over Ego Radio. You are here with Mandee from the Alchemy Sisters. We have several shows, several days a week. We're growing this network. It's absolutely beautiful. We appreciate you liking and commenting on Facebook. Follow us at Heart Over Ego Radio. You can follow our Alchemy Sisters page at facebook.com/The Alchemy Sisters. If you're interested in any spiritual work with Jennie or myself, you can find us at alchemyascensionacademy.com. And we hope you all have a beautiful night. Take care. Bye-bye.
You are listening to the web's #1 choice in spiritual growth and development. This is Heart Over Ego Radio, a network of shows to provide you with healing and guidance to improve the quality of your life. Check us out on Sundays with the Everyday Psychic Show. Mondays is the Alchemy Sisters. Tuesdays, Radical Spirituality. Wednesdays is Know Thyself. Thursdays, Transcending Love. Fridays, Rain Radio. This is Heart Over Ego Radio. Check us out on the web at facebook.com and Blog Talk Radio.